Chapter 37. The front door of Copper Creek opened. Cam looked up. A woman with long, dark hair smiled and walked toward him. He blinked. Karina?
It's been a while.
Try 20 years. He could hardly believe his eyes. She was as beautiful as he remembered. Yup.
Got a minute?
Have a seat. How's your dad?
He passed 3 years ago. Heart attack.
His mind in a fog, reeling from the news that Mr. Moretti had passed, Cam stared at the tabletop. I can't believe you're here.
I'm here about the front of the house manager position.
When did you move back?
Just a few days ago. I understand if you hate me.
I don't hate you. Not even close. Karina panned the restaurant.
My dad would have loved this.
Cam flipped open a menu and pointed.
Spicy chicken and sausage casserole? Is it his recipe?
I know it by heart. I make it all the time for Jags. He squeezed her hand. Your father was a great man. I hate that I hurt him.
We hurt him.
Cam took his hand back. Want something to drink?
Water would be great.
For the first time in weeks, ever since Maggie left Texas, he didn't feel so alone. Karina's friendly face was a welcome reprieve from the hateful words and glances he got all over town. So, you want a job?
Yes.
It doesn't pay much.
I don't need much.
Do you have any restaurant experience?
Dad opened a new restaurant south of Boston. I worked there most of my adult life.
You have a problem working 50-plus hours a week?
No.
How flexible are you? Can you work weekends and nights?
The more hours, the better. I need the distraction.
He considered her for a moment. Why did you come back after all this time?
My husband and I got a divorce. He has a life in Boston, but I don't. The only family I have left is my sister, and she lives here.
Cam leaned back, his hands on his thighs. Ever been arrested? Do you have a record?
No and no.
With his hand stretched across the table, he said, "Welcome aboard."
Really?
If it wasn't for your father, I wouldn't be here right now. The least I could do is offer his daughter a job. He glanced at his own outstretched hand. Karina's hand shot out with enthusiasm.
Do you have any other positions open?
I still need a few line cooks.
I was thinking more along the lines of busboy.
The waitstaff is responsible for bussing their own tables. Why?
Jake, my son, he needs a job.
Cam smiled. He'd have to talk to my front of the house manager. Karina stared into her glass of water.
I'm just not sure he's responsible enough to be a line cook.
How old is he?
He'll be 18 next month.
It's up to you, but I think you should give him a chance. Your son is 17?
He's not yours.
Cam raised a brow.
On the memory of my father, I swear to you that Jake is not yours.
He nodded. I'd like to meet him.
I'll get him. He's in the car.
A tall, rail-thin boy with short, caramel unkempt hair reeked of marijuana. When Jake rolled his bloodshot eyes, Cam laughed. Was it that long ago that he was just like this kid, with a truck full of attitude balanced on his shoulders? Cam showed Jake around. He put him to work unpacking dry goods in one of the back rooms. Then he sat Karina down and explained the trouble he'd been in and his doubts as to the success of the restaurant. He might have beat the charges, but many people suspected foul play. Actually, from the stares he got all around town, he'd guess most people suspected foul play. The likelihood of them giving their patronage to a murderer who escaped prosecution was slim. Karina didn't seem bothered by the high chance of failure or with Cam's questionable recent past. They worked until dark, split a pizza, and laughed at Jake's obvious disgruntlement. As they finished the last of the pizza, Karina asked Jake to label the shelves where he stacked the dry goods. Jake pushed back from the table.
I'm out of here.
Cam grabbed him by the scruff of his shirt, slammed his back against the wall, and blew pepperoni-flavored breath at his face. Your mother asked you to do something. I guess you didn't hear her. He placed the boy back on his feet and pointed. Dry storage is that way. Yup. He definitely looked forward to getting to know this boy a lot better. Copper Creek had been open a week. The first 3 days, only 6 people crossed Copper Creek's threshold. On the 4th, both Zeke Chase and Mayor Stewart went to Copper Creek to dine. The press was frenzied. The man who ran the town and the man who owned the town had shown their support. Word spread, and by the end of the week, the head count grew to 100. Things were going well for Cam, and Jags couldn't be happier. Well, one thing could make him happier, but he promised not to interfere between his brother and Maggie, and he intended to keep that promise. After all, the last time he tried, things hadn't gone well. He'd managed to convince Cam to go for a drink after Copper Creek closed for the evening. The bar was crowded tonight. After a couple drinks, Jags headed for the bathroom. He snaked his way through the herd of cowboys, drunks, and sluts, following the sound of a familiar voice. Tilly and Star sat at a small round table, 2 iced teas before them. Tilly slid from the stool. Jags scooped her up and twirled her. A vision played in his mind. Tilly looked at him.
What's wrong?
Jags kissed her on the cheek.
Nothing.
He tapped playfully on Star's hand.
How goes the wedding plans? You just can't help yourself, can you?
Star nudged Tilly.
Nate's here. Another man who can't help himself.
Jags watched Tilly walk away and then turned towards Star. I wasn't trying to be a wise ass. I was just trying to make conversation. He put his hand over hers. Everything okay? You look kind of down. Her hands covered her face. Jags tugged at her hands, but Star held them firm. Star.
Go away.
Look at me. Star shook her head. I know about Ty and Linda. Her hands slid down her face.
How? Does everybody know?
No, it's not like that.
Well, then how do you know?
Jags took her hand in his. What can I do? Star wrenched her hand from his grasp.
I don't want your help.
You're going to stay with him, aren't you?
Not that it's any of your business, but yes, we've been
together for 5 years. Yeah, I know. You've wasted 5 years, so what's another 50? Do you have an ounce of self-respect?
I have enough self-respect to stay away from people like you, who just make me feel worse about myself.
Because Ty makes you feel great about yourself? How's that working for you? How old are you? I'm going to guess somewhere around 22, which means you've been with Ty since you were, 17 or thereabouts? Am I warm? Star looked at him. He mourned for people like her. who simply endured life, forsaking the opportunity to bleed it of every challenge, adventure, and risk life had to offer. Like gravity, her beautiful, pouty face drew him in. He took her face in his hands and kissed her. With barely a touch, he nipped, slipping his tongue inside her mouth. And Star didn't slap him.
I'm sorry about what he did to you.
When he kissed her again, Star's posture stiffened.
You make me crazy. When I don't want to shake you, I want to eat you alive. Please tell me that you feel even some of what I'm feeling.
Star pushed on his chest.
I can't do this. I'm not going to throw away 5 years.
You mean he's safe, routine, and comfortable? Jags leaned in to kiss her, and she let him.
Do I feel safe, routine, comfortable?
He glanced down and noticed her fingers gripping her stool. His lazy, tender, and lingering kisses were not unlike his lovemaking, a realization he hoped she grasped and would someday experience for herself. When her tongue explored his mouth, his desire rocketed. With his hands splayed on either side of her head, he braced her for a harder, wilder kiss.
Safe isn't always best.
His smile pressed against her lips.
Sometimes you just need to take a chance.
Star took a breath.
And lose the man I've loved for 5 years.
Do you want a roommate or a lover?
Both.
Not me. I want a lover. Somebody who makes me burn. Somebody who still takes my breath away even in the retirement home. Somebody to grope in a crowded restaurant because I can't stand another second without touching her. A woman that makes me hard with her smile. When none of your business smiles, does it make you wet? Grunting, she pushed him away. Jags stumbled backwards. He scrunched his long hair in his hands.
I can't stand people like you. I'm out of here. You can't stand people like me? And what kind of people would that be?
Fake people. I can't stand fake people. You want me, and we both know it. You can't even be true to yourself. He tapped a waitress on the shoulder.
Excuse me, do you have a pen?
He took the pen and wrote on Star's naked wrist.
That's my number. Call me when you want to get real.
Tilly threw herself into Nate's arms.
What's wrong?
Will you take us home? Nate kissed her.
I wasn't expecting this reaction.
Star's not having a good...
What the hell? Jags is kissing Star. No, I take that back. I think he's trying to swallow her whole.
Tilly latched onto his wrist. Don't.
Are you crazy? I'm not gonna let Jags seduce.
Nate, let it go. He gripped her shoulders.
What aren't you telling me?
She shrugged.
We don't keep secrets.
It's not my secret to tell.
She's getting married in a few months.
I'm not sure about that.
What did Ty do to her?
Tilly smirked.
That son of a bitch. I'll tear him up.
He walked towards Star. Sighing, Tilly leaned against the door jamb and waited. When Nate reached Star, Jags had already left. He seized her hand and pulled her toward the door.
I want to know what that asshole did to you. And don't give me a story either, because Tilly all but admitted Ty was a sleaze, so I want the truth.
Star let herself be dragged through the bar by her sister's overprotective husband. When she met Tilly's apologetic smile, her sister shrugged, pantomiming, sorry. Star was too tired and confused to be mad. Kissing Jags turned her mind to cotton. But all new relationships had that bubbly, giddy feeling in the beginning. Her relationship with Ty was matured. This was their rough patch, and they'd get through it.
Call me when you want to get real.